the BBI's biggest benefits to devolution? That's a question of the day. We'd love to hear from you. The WhatsApp number is at the bottom of the screen. You can also get me at I am Jeff Mote or at K24 TV. The money to be added to county coffers will be of great advantage to our counties. We need more funds here at Mashinani to enable more development and quality service delivery. BBI is a good document if well implemented, since it's articulating issues that have been negatively affecting Kenya for long. That's Jenga Wakongo from Kihara. Thank you so much for that, Jenga. Keep them coming in, of course. You can get me at I am Jeff Mote or at K24 TV. In studio, we have Bob Njage, Joy Mdivo. On Skype, we have Justice Minor on this particular conversation. Bob, you're saying you have an alternative referendum to the issue that we have.
People's referendum.
People's referendum.
Yes.
And some people are sitting here saying, okay, fine. We've tried this. We did orange and banana. We still had problems there. Here we are with the BBI. People still feeling like this isn't the solution. Is the referendum the cure, really?
Jeff, there are certain issues in the country that require fixing. We all agree on that. Even before we passed the 2010 Constitution, we agreed that 20% of it was not good. The question at that point was, do we pass it, then amend, or do we amend, then pass it? So we passed the Constitution in 2010. We did not amend it at all. All right? So now we have taken 10 years since then. We are now in 2020. And I believe that 10 years is enough time for us to actually know whether something is good or bad. There are some issues like, for instance, devolution that have worked very well for this country. We want to strengthen, we want to entrench, and we want to affirm, and we want to protect devolution. Because we have seen in the last 10 years, there are certain forces that have been trying to pull back the gains from devolution. So how do we take advantage of this referendum moment to insulate devolution? First, we increase resources upwards. Free Kenya is proposing to increase the revenue share to the counties upwards to 35% and an extra 10% for the people's government. So we're talking about 45% to be devolved, all right? This will ensure that the counties have more resources to undertake the services and functions, and the people's government is also well-resourced to provide its functions of oversight to the county and the national government, right? So that is one benefit that we need to protect as Kenyans. We are talking about the legislature. We have a huge wage bill, right? So how do we fix that wage bill? And it's unfortunate that the BBI proposals are actually increasing the size of parliament. Hiyo ni kuongeza mzigo. We are talking of kuondoa mzigo in the Free Kenya initiative, right? So we have a formula which we can achieve the gender balance without increasing the number of legislators in parliament. That solution is only in the Free Kenya initiative. I would like the viewers to check out our website, www.freekenya.or.ke, to get more details about that. But what we are saying is this. A referendum is supposed to be an expression of the sovereignty of the people, a direct expression of our sovereignty, not the sovereignty of the state or of the government, okay? Article 1 says that all sovereign power is vested in the people, and we can choose to exercise our powers either directly or indirectly. Now, a referendum is a form of direct representation by the people, not the state. That is why we are against the BBI in totality, because fundamentally, it is actually an affront to the sovereignty of the people, because the state is taking over the responsibility of amending the constitution on behalf of the people, whereas it's supposed to be the people who take their own initiative, come together as 1 million Kenyans, like you and me and Joy, and say, these are the proposals we have. Then the state should support us and facilitate us to be able to actualize our dreams. But what is happening in Kenya is what happened in Burundi, is what happened in Russia, whereby President Obama, and I'm glad the Democrats have won it, because he came here in Kasarani, and he warned us of this situation, that there will come a time when the sitting president of the day would want to extend his term in office by changing the constitution. And that is what Uhuru Kenyatta is doing with the help of the former prime minister.
But he has said
severally, it's very unfortunate.
He said severally that he's not interested in extending his term.
Well, saying and meaning are two different things. He's a politician. He does not mean what he says. All right?
Okay, let me just get to Joy very quickly on this one as well, because another key issue of concern right in here, it's something that Parliament has tried, I think, 4 or 5 times. It fell flat on the floor of the House. It's a gender question. And anytime you bring that up to a politician, I think that really is the most sensitive part, and governors have proven that as well. What most people thought that, okay, fine, we'd like to have a situation where if you're a male governor, you have a female deputy governor, or vice versa, and they're vehemently against that. They're saying they can choose after they're elected, but not before. There's a governor who said doing that before would be political suicide. This is where we are with that.
No, and I understand where he's coming from, because the candidate that you might pick to be a running mate might actually be quote-unquote a liability and might cost you votes. And so I can understand why he would say, let me run without baggage, and then after I'm done running without baggage, then I can pick somebody who I feel will help me in this agenda. I think the bigger question here is not even about, let me just use the word force, forcing people to run with the opposite gender. That's not the bigger question. The bigger question is, do we really value women in leadership? Do we really value the contribution and the different perspective that women bring to the table in terms of just enriching the conversation and bringing a different perspective and bringing our skill set? We are in a situation where women are, yes, disadvantaged in terms of culturally and the patriarchy in society, but also we are in a situation where women are getting very empowered. And I've said it here before, I'm one of those women, by the way, I'm quite happy to let you keep your seats and just fight it out with you, and eventually I know I'm going to trounce all of you, because I can see the trajectory that women leadership is taking in Kenya. And if you come to a place where you're even look at now, we have an Auditor General, she's a woman. Registrar of Political Parties is a woman. If you look around, women are getting into prominence. We have to start looking at this as a question of appreciating the value the other person brings. Now, when it comes to politicians, they have a problem, because that is an academic exercise. But if you're running on the ground, there are some societies that do not place women leadership at the same premium. It would be political suicide for them. That is why the formula needs to be worked out in such a situation where you allow women to get into places of leadership, but also showcase the best of women leadership. And that's why I've said, when we do women leadership as tokenism, then you end up with bimbles, Juburimo Braisas, and other things in such spaces. You do a disservice to women leadership, because the showcase is not the best. What the governors are pushing back against, though, I think is a situation of, you're forcing us to have a woman running mate, but the top position, there's no such forcing. What's up with that? You're forcing us to walk a mile in this shoe while you're not willing to lead from the front. So I think a compromise for them would be, you know what is good for goose is good for duck. If everybody is running with the opposite gender, let it be from the office of the president all the way to the governors, and even the senators have been told we are choosing two, so theirs has been finished. So let it just be mainstreamed that gender is something that we are taking in consideration at all stages, because we are where we are because the National Assembly was able to wriggle out of being given a formula on how to actualize the gender question. We did it for the Senate, we did it for the county assemblies. National Assembly said, leave it to us, we'll pass a law. They've not passed it 10 years on. So I think they need to be forced to do it. So it's not a worthy discussion, in my opinion.
Okay.
Let them allow themselves to be forced. They say, tumelazimishwa. But at the end of the day, let's get somewhere where we appreciate both genders. And when it's men stand to be protected and to be affirmed, we shall remember that they were good to us and we shall affirm them. Okay,
let me get to that. Before I come to you, Bob, very quickly, I just want to get to Justice on this. We also have some feedback coming in, so if you want to do that, you can WhatsApp us, the WhatsApp number at the bottom of the screen. And Justice, I want us to speak to devolution, because every single person says they want to strengthen devolution, they want to make sure more money leaves the center and goes to these particular counties. But from where it stands, I don't think we need a referendum for that. You know, this could have been done very easily without it. So why is that the carrot that's being dangled before the governors and all of these people that will take it to 35%, and this could have been done without the BBI?
Of course, some of these, items in the BBI are mere sweeteners. They are meant to entice the populace into voting for the BBI document. The superstructure of the BBI is the executive. The position of the president and the deputy president, the prime ministers and the deputy prime ministers. That is the reason why we are doing the BBI. It's not about the 35%, because, Jeff, I know you know that the law, the constitution gives us the minimum. That is 15%. It does not give us the maximum. So the president, in principle, can be able to liaise with the parliament and be able to devolve up to 40, up to 50, up to 60% of the national revenue. So the idea that 35% has been put in the Constitution, as I said, is a carrot meant to entice the common man to begin to get excited and emotional and begin to embrace the BBI. So the main reason why people want to amend the Constitution is not because they want to give more monies to the devolved system. No, that is not the reason. The reason, as someone has said in studio, is because one of the reasons is because it is a transitional management tool. It's a transition period. People want to reincarnate themselves. People want to be reborn again. And the only way you can be reborn again and be baptized and have a new gown is by amending the Constitution. And remember, this is the second time in our country where a president who is serving his second term has embraced the idea of amending the Constitution. Kibaki rejected the amending of Constitution the first time. The second term, he embraced. Uhuru Kenyatta, of course, he flatly rejected the very philosophy of amending the Constitution in his first term. In his second term, on his way to Damascus, he changed, and he's today one of the biggest proponents of the Canaan Brigade. The BBI has only been renamed BBI, but it's the same story about us going to Canaan. And therefore, the fact that we need to amend Constitution to add more money to the devolved units is a lie that we are being told. Remember, some of the issues in the BBI are mere administrative or even clerical issues. When we talk about giving the young people a grace period of 7 years in terms of paying taxes, those are merely administrative issues. You don't need a BBI. You don't need to amend the Constitution to allow the young people to not to pay taxes for 7 years. When you talk about help loan that we've been given, the young people have been given a grace period of 4 years. Basically, Jeff, that is almost a clerical issue. It's not even an administrative. That is an issue that can be done by the chief executive officer of health. But today, that is something that is being told to the young people in rallies in the name of BBI. So, and finally, the one thing we need to do when it comes to BBI is to ensure that we proper structures to ensure the money is going to counties are not the personal properties of the governors, their deputy governors, and their wives and friends. The biggest challenge today facing devolution is not even whether we have 15% or 35%. The greatest threat to devolution is the misuse of funds by some governors and the personalization of resources going to counties by the governors in how they manage the resources. So I hope the BBI Brigade will begin to look at how we protect the monies going to the devolved units, so that some of this money going to devolved units are monies that some of the friends of the governors go and pick from the devolved units and go back to Nairobi. The biggest contractors in some of these devolved units are friends of senior officers in county government. So we need to relook at how do we protect these resources going to the devolved units. That is one of the biggest threat to devolution.
Okay. Bob, you had a rejoinder on the gender issue, was it?
Yes. I just wanted to comment on the gender issue, how it has been addressed. I think for the longest time we have had this issue in Parliament, to an extent that Parliament was declared unconstitutionally constituted by the Chief Justice. But it's unfortunate to date no remedy has been given to that effect. But it shows you the seriousness of the matter. It's unfortunate that those who are leading the BBI initiative have all the numbers in Parliament to have brought consensus even before it got to where we are. So again, I don't think it is a sincere push towards resolving the gender issue. But as Free Kenya Initiative, we actually adopted a 50-50 policy in regards to how power will be shared between the two genders, right? So it is possible. Secondly, on the legislative, as I said, we have a formula for representation which will ensure that there is gender balance in Parliament without increasing the number of constituencies as BBI is proposing. I want to agree with my brother Justus on the issue of devolution, right? He's talking about protecting resources that are devolved to the counties. This has been the biggest problem we have today because devolution is a new system. And that is why we are saying that the introduction of a people's government is the solution, the ultimate solution to corruption. Because once you involve the people in the governance of the day-to-day activities, there is no money that is going to be lost. Because all the resources that are devolved, the system of the people's government, one of its functions is oversight. It will be oversighting the county government. Second function is budget-making processes. So the people themselves will be involved in their budget-making for the year, right? So they know how much money has been earmarked for which project, how much is coming down to the ground. They also are the ones to certify all the projects that have been done before payments are done to contractors. So where are you going to find corruption? Okay. But if there is no participation of the public in the governance of their resources, that's where you leave a vacuum for corruption. So the only way to fight corruption from Turkana to Mombasa to Kilifi to Meru to Kisii is by having a system and structure of governance that ensures the people are the oversight, the primary oversights of their own resources.
We have some feedback coming in as far as WhatsApp is concerned. The WhatsApp number is at the bottom of the screen, and we're asking what you think the biggest benefits the BBI will bring to devolution to your counties as well. Let's have that up. What would be the biggest benefit by the BBI to devolution? That's what we want to know from you. The WhatsApp number is there at the bottom of the screen. We have a couple of messages. Let's look at them real quick. BBI is good for devolution because there is some money being added to support devolution from 15% to 35%, and also MCAs will be allocated 5% of the national budget. That is wonderful. Well, slight correction there. It's not the national budget. It's county revenue that the MCAs will be getting. Okay, next message. BBI ni ya wakubwa, haiongelei mkulima wa kahawa, majani chai, miraa, mfanyikazi wa serikali, hoka, haiongei juu ya CDF, iwekwe kwa katiba. Okay, these are the things that you feel need to be addressed in that particular report. Good morning, Jeff and your team. BBI, it's a very good document that increases county share to 35%. It's a very big improvement. But what is holding Ruto and his team to talk to Uhuru and Raila and table their issues? According to me, they are selfish and doing chest thumping. Let's proceed without amendments. Even if they are given more time, they'll bring other selfish interests like the governors and the MCAs are doing right now. That is Rico Banks. Keep them coming in, of course. You can also get me on Twitter at @IamJeffMote or at K24TV. Joy, interesting turn of events right now as we are seeing amendments now probably being made and this document not cast in stone. This is something that the Deputy President has been speaking about for quite a while, since the launch of this particular second report. Do you think we get to a space where he also presents his views and we move forward? Because that's what he's been saying about the longest time. He wants a non-contested election. Do we get there in this scheme of things?
I don't know if he's going to present his views, because I think last time even the entire Jubilee fraternity gave the BBI a wide berth and did not, as a party anyway, as far as I know, did not put in any representations or presentations to the steering committee. So I'm not too enthusiastic that there's a document that Jubilee is preparing. I think the point he was trying to make, and which has also come out, is we cannot be saying that it is a done deal when it is a bold document. And that's what we are seeing. The Right Honorable Raila, and even the President, when he had a meeting with the politicians, said, you know what, let's look at it a little bit and see what can realistically be done. But remember what I said here last time. There's a constitutional question that does not lend itself to much an amendment, in my opinion. The constitutional questions will more or less remain as is. But there's the policy issues and there's the legislative issues where there is wiggle room. So for example, if you're coming as pastoralists and what you want is marketing for your produce, you want to have a system where you can be ring-fenced in terms of some resources, those ones don't need to get into the constitutional part because it's something that can be done by legislation and by policy. So I am seeing that many of the contributions that are being made now will affect this section of administration and policy and legislation rather than the constitutional question. Because the constitutional question now speaks to the structure of power. The only people who might be able to have a say on that one now is when you're talking about the governors. When you're saying you must have a person of opposite gender, something like that. Now that goes to the constitutional question. And we are seeing that there is some reluctance to tinker with that part of the BBI implementation program. So in my opinion, even if we are coming with dialogue and considering views, I don't think the constitutional question will be tampered with too much. That will be left mostly as is.
Okay.
We'll be seeing alterations or suggestions being made more towards what legislation can be passed, maybe add to the suggested bills or add amendments to the already suggested bills. We will be seeing administrative action happening. Some executive orders may be coming out of it. We'll be seeing cabinet ministers gazetting some things. So that is where I'm seeing most of the compromises being slotted in,
Right.
and not in the constitutional question.
Okay. Justice, I'll have you in on this one, because the counter-argument to having this document open for changes is that it's a slippery slope that will never stop. Once you start, we'll continue and continue and continue, and even the deadline will pass as people still come back with more amendments. How do they deal with this delicate balancing act? Because the two principals are meeting today, governors and MCAs in Naivasha. How do they try and balance this process, get these particular views, change what they can, but also at the same time keep it hard and fast? How do they keep these two contrary approaches?
Yeah, I get the concern, but I think the problem was from the inception. You know, this document was treated like a sacred state document. It was kept, and it's only maybe Raila Odinga and the president who knew what was happening. I think that from the word go, it was not consultative, sufficiently consultative. Like the 2010 constitution, where you could feel everybody was on board. This one has been kept as almost a private document. I mean, there's nothing else, there's no other better word to describe BBI other than a private document whose it is like a company limited whose directorship is Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta, period. And that is the original sin when it comes to dealing this problem. The original sin is that it was founded and the way it proceeded like it was a private document of the president and Raila Odinga. So I hear the people who are concerned, whose concern are that once we open and reopen and close and reopen again, then we may not see an end to this drama. But I think we need to listen to everybody. If we want to have a document that will be able to be owned, that will be owned by all the Kenyans, I think we should not tire from opening, closing, reopening, and closing. Even if it means we go beyond 2022. This is not, BBI is not a magical document that will cure our problems. Of course, it is being paraded as so. But the fact of the matter is, once we pass this document, we will still have young people jobless. We will still have people going to bed without food. We'll still have corruption. We'll still have people hungry for power and who incite the young people to engage in violence. It is not a panacea to the problems bedeviling this country. And it is wrong for anybody to parade BBI as a solution to all our problems, because once we pass this document and people begin to feel like it does not give the answers that it promised it would, it does not cure the diseases that it had promised it would, it does not give jobs that it had promised it would, it does not give us, put more money in our pockets like it promised it would, that is the time disillusion will come in. And the greatest problem bedeviling this country is that Kenyans are living on hope. Hope has become a drug that is being given to us every 5 years. When our levels of hope goes down, we are given a drug called hope. And Kenyans are beginning to get addicted to false hope. In fact, every politician knows that the only thing you need to give to Kenyans is to give them hope. This BBI, once again, is giving us hope. A hope that all our problems will magically dissolve once we pass this document. My closing remarks, Chair. I want to salute the people that I have not heard anybody talk about, the men and women in uniform that protect this country day and night, the families of men and women in uniform who have died on the line of duty, their wives, their children, their mothers, their fathers, their brothers. I want to salute these heroes. Today I just felt like, as a country, we need to begin to also have a conversation on how to ensure that these people, especially the families of heroes who have fallen on the line of duty, either in Somalia, either the policemen, and so many other, uniformed officers.
Okay.
I think we need to have this conversation central to the BBI because nobody will always. When you hear the governors, they are talking about their problems, the MCAs, their problems, the pastors, their problems. But I hope somebody picks this conversation, and also at the center and the heart of BBI, we begin to also have conversation on the lives and the quality of lives of families who've been left behind by the great men and women who died on the line of duty. Thank you.
Justice. Thank you so much for that. We have a minute to go on this one before we wrap this up. So very quickly, bring it back to studio, 30 seconds each as we close. Bob, what's your parting shot? Very quickly in 30 seconds.
Thank you. I just want to tell our viewers that indeed there is hope, like Justice is saying, in this referendum moment. And Kenyans have a choice either to go the BBI way or to go the Free Kenya Popular Initiative way.
Okay.
This moment calls for a constitutional revolution. A revolution through the constitution of the people, whereby the people themselves come out and say no to BBI and yes to a people's referendum. We need a referendum, but we need a referendum that is driven by the people, for the people, and of the people.
Okay, that's where we leave it as far as that's concerned. Joy, your parting shot.
My encouragement would be let Kenyans interact with as many processes as they can. Punguza came, we interacted with it. We understood some of the things that were said. BBI came, we are interacting with it right now. Bob is coming with his initiative. We need to interact with it as well. I think as Kenyans, we need to mature into a situation where we take responsibility for our country. Don't let people tell you, alisomewa, ilifanyiwa nini. This time round, take the initiative to read. And if you don't find anything that you like with it, leave it alone. If you find something like with it, champion it. But if you also see a place where you can put in a contribution, please make it. Because what Bob is talking about, public participation, is already enshrined in our constitution. So let us participate. You can see the politicians doing it very effectively. We can also organize and make our voices heard loud enough such that our views are taken on board as well.
Okay, fantastic stuff. That's where we close this particular show as far as this is concerned. Thank you so much, Bob Njagi, for making time, Chairman, Free Kenya Movement. Joy Mdivo, Executive Director, East Africa Center for Law and Justice. Thank you, Sana, for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
Joining the conversation via Skype from Bomet, Justice, Minor Governance Expert. Thank you so much for your time on the show as well. Don't forget, if you haven't gotten yourself a copy of your PD, because lots that we're discussing is in there, you can get it straight to your phone. The number that you dial is *550*4#. It's brought to you by the PD and Safaricom. Quick break. We are back on the other side as we get interactive. Good morning.